to another day in the Matrix. Waters above crypto. I'm sending you all love and high vibrations. Wishing you all a beautiful start to your week. We're approaching the end of October and this market has continued to stay strong. So in today's video, I'm going to dive into the charts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP to share some price levels and my thoughts on this market in the short term. And of course, I'll be kicking it off with a Gematria Decode and sharing some potentially important dates coming soon. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious people to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can join my Mastermind course. My email's in the description box to get in contact with me for access to the course. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. We're just going to start off with some date numerology. So today being Tuesday, October 26, 2021, which is a special date because it's giving us 66 days left in the year. And with the way that I like to add up my date numerology, that gives us the 77. So that would be 10 plus 26 plus 20 plus 21 equaling 77. And of course, these sevens are very powerful in my work because we are currently in Shemitah, which is the 7-year cycle in the Hebrew calendar. And we are in a very special time, everyone, as we transition into the year of 2022 in the Hebrew year of 5,782, which 5 plus 7 plus 8 plus 2 equals 22. And we could see today seems to be a very important number numerologically with that 77 and that 66 as well. So one important thing leaves tomorrow with that 65 days left in the year, and everything in this numbers game is mirrored. So with the 65, we could also perceive this as 56, and that 56 comes back to our buddies, the Society of Jesus, with the 56, but also quite important, the ticker symbol of Bitcoin gives us that 56, and we're focused on Bitcoin, of course, with this channel, and you could see that the 7 is coming up in BTC as well in the full reduction cipher. So we know these 7s are very powerful in Bitcoin as well. So this might give us a little bit of a clue into our short-term energy in the market. Another date to consider would be the 30th of this month. And I'm just interested in this date because it is the 303rd day in the year. So in the rules of numerology, be removing these zeros, and that gives us the 33. And we know this is a powerful number. Anyone who studies numbers and the occult is aware, 33rd degree Freemason, 33rd degrees Fahrenheit is when ice turns to water. Therefore, it is the unfrozen mind or the unfrozen pineal gland is who is elect to become illumined. And this is where we get that terminology Illuminati. So one other key important thing about this date, though, is the way that I like to add up my date numerology. The 10 plus 30 plus 20 plus 21 is giving us that 81. And that 81 is extremely important in my work because it ties back to Venus. Venus being the goddess Lucifer, the light bearer, or Eosphorus, sometimes known as Phosphorus, the light bringer. Now, this 81 is very powerful. And in reverse, we have that 18. And in Judaism, that 18 is a very powerful number, as some of you might know. The 1 representing source, or the connection to source, as 1, you are the universe, 1 song, 1 frequency, and 8 being the infinity symbol, or a pep. And you could study that with ancient Egyptian. And this 8-1 connection could mean 1 being connection to source, 8 being infinity, infinite connection to the creator or the architect. And how do you get there? Well, you need enlightenment. And that is what Venus is all about, carrying the torch of enlightenment and wisdom. So this will also be the day before what is known in America as Halloween. And this is really interesting because I decided to decode this a little bit today with Halloween. We're getting that 41, and I'm interested in how this all ties together. Bear with me, but that 41 giving us the 13th prime number. And if we know anything about Bitcoin, we always heard that term back in the day of the Satoshi white paper, the Bitcoin white paper. And I went ahead and plugged in the date of the white paper release, which was Halloween of 2008. And if I bring it till this upcoming Halloween, it'll be 13-year anniversary. So, of course, Halloween gives us that 41. That 41 is the 13th prime number, and this will be the 13th anniversary of the release of the Satoshi Nakamoto Bitcoin white paper. And we could have a little more fun by typing in Bitcoin white paper. And that's going to give us the 193, and that 193 is the 44th prime number. What is the day after Halloween this year? The start of the 44th week of the year on November 1st, which would be the date numerology of 111. That 111 is important, of course, with finances because it comes back to New York, and New York is the time zone that rules finances globally. It's where the New York Stock Exchange is. It is also the same time zone shared with Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is part of what I call the Trinity, which is D.C., the Vatican, and the City of London. That is the control grid of this scheme we call economy. And it's really interesting. Their tentacles reach out through CERN, Switzerland, and then, of course, into some more nefarious things going on in the Middle East, and also Israel, and even in other places in America. But the three most important being DC, Vatican, City of London. So I'm really interested in this because we're starting the 44th week of the year on the date numerology of 111, and this is where it really gets spicy. The day after being the second, I'm really interested because this is the 306th day of the year. Again, using the rules of numerology, you're removing that 0, that gives you the 36. And the following day, which will be the 3rd, is the 307th day of the year, which is, when you're looking into what 307 is, it's the 63rd prime number. So again, day before gives us the 36 days, and then also the day after, 307, being the 63rd prime, as above, so below, just like we started out in today's video. It's the mirror of each other, and it's back-to-back days. Why this is so interesting is because that 36 number is showing up in a lot of things that I've been doing here. Bitcoin gives us the 36. Ethereum in the Chaldean cipher gives us the 36. Money gives us the 63. Economy gives us the 36 in the same cipher as Bitcoin. Okay? Also, we see that 27 again mirrored coming back to 72 with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin with the 72 again coming back to the same cipher in money, because that's what this is, guys. And remember, with money, we're getting that 22 in Chaldean, and that is the Hebrew year we are currently in, 5782, the 22, Master Builder, Master Destroyer. That is what money is all about. And whenever something starts with MON, that means it's about the moon. And that is why my work focuses on the moon cycles. And what do we get with moon? We get that 23 in Chaldean. And what does that tie back to? Bitcoin, 23 in the same exact cipher. Another thing to consider is this date that we've been talking about of the 2nd of November gives us 11/2/2021, which gives us the 9. And of course, that is the Chaldean of BTC, the ticker symbol of Bitcoin. So this next 7 to 8 days, seems to be a pretty interesting time ahead. I'm excited. And a couple other things to mention just for fun as a side note. We have Halloween giving us this number sequence. I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to type in Scorpio, which is our current zodiac, and we're going to see something incredible. Look at the bottom of the screen. You're going to see Scorpio and Halloween match on 95s, 41s, and 40. And even Halloween giving us that 40 in Chaldean coming back to Scorpio as well. What a perfect match. Is this done by accident or not? Right? So this is interesting how Scorpio is tying back with this Halloween. And of course, after Halloween, we're going to be transitioning into the 44th week of the year, and Scorpion gives us that 44. And what else does it give us? The 36, just like I was explaining before in Bitcoin and also Ethereum, which are the main money energy inside of this market. Again, Bitcoin being the sun or soul, Ra, Helios, the energy of the market, and Ethereum being ether being the air or the upper air that the gods breathe. It's very important stuff. Please study all this. Please study your Roman and Greek mythology, and you're going to be able to make decoding with Gematria so much more effective, because those were our origins to begin with. Before we even had the English language, we had these mythologies. Whether they're real or whether they're not, their influence is throughout everything we do on this planet, from the court systems to the birth certificate to the name you have. It is all being tied back to those two. And if you learn those two, then you could start to understand what came before them. And you get all the way back to Sumeria and ancient Egypt. So let's move on to our TA, shall we? Bitcoin having a little bit of pressure today, which I kind of anticipated. We are actually seeing about 11% off the current highs. So we are technically in a downtrend now ever since this lower high right here around October 25th. We've seen a bearish MACD cross on the daily chart. Again, daily being quite important to take consideration of. We saw multiple daily closes below the 8 simple moving average on the daily. It looks like today we might as well. And what this tells me now is we need to pay attention to the short-term support and short-term resistance. So currently our short-term resistance would be right here at around $63,700, pretty much right there, which is our local higher low. So right here we have our high, here we have our higher low, here we have our low, here we have a slightly lower low, but you could essentially see that this level right here of around 59,600 is a very strong support. So we have a level right here of around 63,700 and a level below at around 59,600. That is our range for now. As long as Bitcoin maintains this range, you can see altcoins do very well. Whenever Bitcoin goes sideways in a market where it has already entered price discovery and broke all-time highs, that is very normal for us to see outliers of certain projects doing okay or seemingly recovering. But whenever you pull back and look at the big picture, Bitcoin has actually been performing better over the last 3 months than a majority of the other projects. That's just how this market operates at this time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to study the previous 2 cycles, predominantly the last cycle, because we did have an alt season in 2017 into 2018. It's quite important for people to study that because this whole market runs on an algorithm, which is essentially being repeated exactly the same on this cycle as well. So on this 4-hour chart, what I'm interested in is we have seen a wolf cross with the 8 above the 55. It's clearly showing some problems here around the 63,000 level. Why is 63 important? Well, remember what we were talking about before with Bitcoin, 36. And this has to do with money with the 63. So that is obvious why it's getting that resistance, guys. And we're also in the 43rd week of the year. This number isn't as significant as last week was when we were in the 42nd week of the year. Why is the 42nd week so important? Well, Satoshi Nakamoto gives us that 181, which is the 42nd prime number. This is the creator of Bitcoin. Satoshi is Saturn, 42. Gone over this plenty of times. So when we come down to these levels, if we do, this is where we need to hold. And if we have a 4-hour closure below this level of 59,600, that will swipe us down most likely to this level here, which is the top of the golden pocket, the 786 Fibonacci retracement sitting at around 57K. And then slightly below that would be our 200 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart, which sits around 56. Why is the 56 important? Well, again, coming back to Gematria, BTC equals 56. So we have a lot of important 50s here. We have the 56 with Bitcoin sitting at that level. We have that 57 coming back to Society of Jesus with the 57. And then also Saturn always is coming back to those 55s through Satoshi Nakamoto. 55, 55. So the 55K is probably the lowest we'll ever go if we are going to get a pullback. And that's not only based on technical analysis, that's also based on the numbers. So please consider that when we're taking into account any pullbacks at this time for Bitcoin are probably going to bring a massive dump for the altcoins. So we do need to be weary of that. Whether it happened last week or this current week or next week, it does not matter. Too many people at this time are wanting a pullback, which is hilarious to me because we already had all the opportunities in the world for pullbacks. People who waited too late and now they want these dips, these are the people that probably went long at the top. You need to learn market psychology and sentiment in order to get better at becoming an investor, a long-term investor. So this is a lesson learned for a lot of people. Patience will be rewarded, and a lot of people at this stage of a bull run start losing their patience because they're seeing coins approach highs some coins even breaking into price discovery, and they're not able to manage their emotions. They don't want to use all that free time in their day to study the charts and learn a skill. They rather just wait around for videos to come out from their favorite YouTubers, with the O face, telling them that their coin's going to go to $1 million or whatever. And that's just bullshit, and people need to wake up. And by studying the charts and actually studying the code, you're going to be able to do this on your own, and you're going to be able to become empowered, and then you could actually change your emotional state and make a better choice in this market. So when I'm considering all things, I do see that there's potential for a short-term pullback. I'm not saying there will be. It's just there's potential for it because of trend showing weakness. Of course, we have high, lower high, lower high, lower high. And then on the other side of things, we have this bearish MACD cross. And we could also see that, we're definitely trending down on RSI. Anything below 60, we might have a little swoop down into the previous level of around 56, 57, just like I was saying before with the price action. It's amazing to see RSI numbers actually aligning with the price of Bitcoin. So I'm not saying that we're going to get a pullback. This is just kind of the way that the last moments of a bull run work. We essentially have really sharp moves to the downside, and they're random. So this structure I'm seeing right here, let me just show you candles, and this might be able to be a little bit helpful for those fractal pattern analyses, the analysis out there that uses fractal patterns. So you can see right here we have moving up into the full moon of September, or the new moon of September, we hit our high and then dumped. Right here, we moved up to the full moon and then dumped. And then we did get a little relief and then another secondary dump. That could happen, but I assume it might just happen faster. So if we take the time frame from the 7th down to this low right here, we have 14 days. If I go from the high here down to the 14 days later, look at where that puts us. The 3rd of November, which is what I was talking about before. I was talking about the 2nd and the 3rd of November. Does that mean I'm saying we will absolutely dump on the 3rd? No, I'm just sharing some sentiment here. We should have been buying our Bitcoin down here, not waiting up here. So if we get any corrections at this time, it is just a buying opportunity. That's the way we need to perceive this stage in a bull run. Once Bitcoin broke into new all-time highs, price discovery, that should increase confidence of a finality of a bull run coming later in the year substantially. Because before we broke all-time highs, we were actually still in a downtrend. So remember what I said weeks ago. Once we break this area right here of the May highs, that's when I suspect things are going to get bullish. Now look at where my cursor is. You see how when we broke above it, we actually went substantially higher than it, and then lately we've been just back testing that level. That was such a crucial level. And if that doesn't hold, we're definitely going to swoop down a little bit. We're not going to be swooping down that much though. You see that trading range right there, and you see how around this level, that is where Bitcoin was gravitating to many times after breaking out into new highs. Well, that 55, 56K level is a huge level of support. It's something that Bitcoin likes to return to, and that's what it'll take maybe one last time for us to see 6-digit Bitcoin, which I suspect will happen in the month of November, by the end of November at least. So that's about all the analysis I could give in the short term. On the bottom, we're looking at about 59,000 to hold. Anything below that on closures, we're going to move down. It's about 55. I don't really see much lower than 55K at this time for the rest of the bull run. And then on the upside, if we're going to break this level right here, 63.7 on a 4-hour candle close, I suspect we might retest highs, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're just going to continue from there. Everything is about trend, meaning we need to make new highs in the structure. So I still suspect we can see by the new moon of November, highs of Bitcoin into the 70K level. Somewhere around the 2nd to 3rd week of November, the 44th, 45th week of the year, I do think we'll see a 70K Bitcoin by that time. And I would not be surprised either. Now let's move on to Ethereum. Ethereum having a very strong trend right here. You could see it clear as day. If I was to bring up a trend line, I mean, this is, you can't mistake this at all. Let me turn off these moving averages and you're going to see what I mean. So it's holding this trend beautifully. Any closures outside of this trend will create something more like Bitcoin, where Bitcoin had this similar trend right here. So if you bear with me, you'll see this is the exact same thing that Bitcoin was doing. It's just a really steep trend. Look. It's literally the same, okay? just Bitcoin's one step ahead. So that means when this breaks, that's probably going to be the sign of weakness that we suspect coming in for Ethereum. And breaking, it would still be at the same level as Bitcoin at the 888 fib. You could see that right there, that green line. That's exactly where Bitcoin is having its trading action currently, right at the 888 fib. It's amazing how similar this is working out for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So take that into consideration. I suspect there is lots of downside for Ethereum in the event that Bitcoin cannot hold the 59K level. Just because it's more volatile, it could swoop down all the way to this trend line somewhere around $3,500. That would make a lot of sense for a final move down for ETH. It would also complete this idea of a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern, which, I mean, I'm not even considering, like, I'm not even really worrying about at this time. I still believe that Ethereum's probably going to take up until the second to third week of November to see new highs, meaning $5,000 or more. I suspect that'll be coming in around the third week of November or so. But for now, that trend line is something that I'm looking at to hold, and it looks like it's dancing around these levels. Now, one of the key support levels for ETH on the shorter time frames is the 55 simple moving average. So that gives you a little bit of insight if you're looking for technical levels. This level right here of the 55 simple moving average on the 4-hour chart, which sits at $4,000. Once that breaks, I do suspect a swipe down into this level right here, which is the top of the golden pocket, the 786 fib, and then any swipes below that, you're looking at the 200 exponential. Exactly the same analysis I gave on Bitcoin. It's going to work very, very similarly in my opinion. So this 4-hour chart gives you the play-by-play. If we start to close below the 55 simple, expect the 786 fib. If we start to close below that, expect a swipe down to the 200. And because ETH is a little bit more volatile than Bitcoin, we can see that go even lower down to this trend line, and I would not be surprised to see a bounce off that trend line in an immediate reaction to what's going on here. This could take some time to play out, guys, and it could literally be a reverse function for the way that it grew like this. So right there where we extended up and then back tested this trend line and the way we went up, that could be the same exact way we go down, where we look at this, we just literally, it would be in reverse, like a full symmetrical breakdown. That could happen. Or we could just wake up one day and we could see a big red candle. That's also what's possible in cryptocurrency at this stage in the bull run. It's a shakeout liquidity event to get leverage traders out of this game before the whales push us to the upside. And we all kind of have seen this happen so many times now in this market, where the days that are the most bloody have a quick reaction, and that reaction is always the opposite because they want to inject fear into a market so that way they get you shaken out. So to the downside, I've shared my levels somewhere around 3,500. I'd be looking on the downside at this time just because of how long and strong this chart has been going. But the 33 number is still something I'm highly considering just because ETH, of course, comes back to 33. In Gematria, that would be a really beautiful opportunity to get the bottom of the 618. If it happens, though, it's probably going to be a wick, and it's probably going to be quickly bought up, and that will still maintain my overall idea of ETH hitting new all-time highs and hitting $5,000 in the month of November. So for now, the upside target would obviously be the prior all-time highs, which is around 4,385. We're so close to there, and breaking that would just enter price discovery, so we would have to, that would be great as well. Either way, at this time, we should all be happy because we should all be making money. Now let's go to XRP and wrap this up. So XRP is absolutely forming somewhat of a trend here. We can see multiple lower highs, okay? And this is like really clean looking, actually. This is a really clean trend line. I mean, you can't get much cleaner than that. So it looks like it's forming a short-term bull pennant. And again, we wouldn't call this a triangle because triangles, you really need a little bit more time than this. At least 2 to 3. Well, maybe this is 2 to 3 weeks by now. Yeah, we could call this a symmetrical triangle at this time. I don't really like the idea of triangles though on shorter time frames because so many people have just started to throw this pattern around lately because of pattern traders that have bigger channels. And I'm not a big pattern trader at all. I think it has a high risk, and I've seen it go very wrong for a lot of people. But yeah, this is a very clean resistance trend line, and we can't quite call this a full support yet. just because it's a little jagged on these wicks. And I don't like to judge off of wicks. Anyone who knows me, I like to consider everything based off of candle closures. So I'm not really giving too much energy to this at this time. I already told so many people, expect XRP to be boring and sideways up until pretty much the late November timeframe. Around 11/11 November, so the 11th day to 12th, 14th or so of November, I suspect that could be boring, and then we could see a really nice recovery into the 3rd or 4th week of November. But until then, we're just really arduously trading into this 382. It's exactly how I said it would be. It's boring. And it is not up. Some people are wondering, like, why is it up? Well, it's not up. It's actually, even off of its local highs, it's down 22%. And off of its yearly highs, we're looking at a down 45%, whilst Bitcoin has actually recently broke all-time highs, and Ethereum has been retested perfectly its prior all-time high. So this is one of those coins, again, I told everyone, expect it to be suppressed all the way until late November into the transition of October, of December, and that is exactly how this is playing out. So from a daily chart perspective, this is very boring, but it's building a ton of support above $1, which is nice. It would be nice at the end of this bull run leading into the bear market if XRP can hold the $1 level. And to give you guys a little bit of a crystal ball, this is around the part of a bull run where when you see this sort of trading range happening, it gives you an idea of what the next bear market lows are going to be. So what that means is Bitcoin was trading around this $55,000 level for most of the highs. Like if you were to put a range around 55 to about 60, that's probably where we're going to revisit in the next bear market. The same thing for XRP. XRP is probably going to hold these levels of around $1.20 down to $1.05 in the next bear market. And people say that's not possible because they're like part of the XRP army cult. But if you study TA, you'll know exactly what I mean, because we watched both XRP and Ethereum lose 95% of their value in the 2018 bear market. It's in the charts. It's proven. Okay. So there's no denying this. It is possible to happen again. And with diminishing losses every single bull run, it would also make sense for it to hold maybe $1.20, $1.30 in the following bear market. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I'm just letting everyone know that this is a good thing. It's a good thing that XRP is boring right now because it's building a ton of support above $1. Those people that wanted it to go below 86 cents, well, you missed your shot because you were getting way too, emotional. The same thing when it went to 50 cents. We're building structure, and this is probably the last level of resistance that we're going to experience before confirming this level here as a new support forever, which is a beautiful thing. That should be music to people's ears for anyone who is buying XRP below $1. So that's pretty much the play on this. I've given the same analysis on this coin week after week. It's been so boring, so there's really not much to say. It's the 0.5 fib would be our next upside level, and to the downside, it would be this 200 simple moving average around $1.03. Anything breaking below this 200, we would retest that 93-cent level. But yeah, I mean, because XRP is so suppressed, even if Bitcoin and ETH had a bigger pullback, like I've been explaining, for instance, if Bitcoin pulls back to around 56,000, that might not bring XRP that much to the downside because XRP has already experienced most of its losses and it's already suppressed. So just think about it, right? If a coin has already broken out into price discovery, like for instance, Solana or something, if Bitcoin takes a hit, coins like that will take a bigger hit because they've already had a bunch of positive liquidity injected into them. On the other side of things, if a coin is boring and suppressed and then Bitcoin has a nosedive, it won't affect those coins as much. It's pretty much all about balancing market cap. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And because we were just in Libra, our market cap is very balanced right now, and we're starting to see that all come to fruition. So lots of information in today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.